So before I launch into this video, I do just want to give a shout out to all the wonderful people who support me by subscribing, by commenting on my videos, by clicking like on my videos, all the people who help me out with memberships and buy me a coffee. These are the things that help me to keep this channel going and help me to come back each day and find the motivation to jump in and do another video. So shout out to all of you. You're all great. Okay, so this is part 3 of my analysis of statements made by Sam Brown. If you haven't caught the first 2, there is a playlist that I've created that is Kiely Rodni Law Enforcement, I believe. And you can find all the original statements by all law enforcement in there, as well as the playlist of what I've started analysing, which so far is just the first 2 Sam Brown videos. So let's launch into this part 3.
Good evening, and before I get into too much, I really just want to thank our partners with the Placer County Sheriff's Office. Excuse me. Being in unified command has amplified our abilities drastically, and they bring a lot to the table. We also have the Truckee Police Department, CHP, every federal, state. We've even had the Air Force. There's too many people to thank, and too many things that have gone on. This list would go on and on and on.
So let's not mistake this. This isn't really him saying thank you to these organisations. This is him basically putting it out there, saying we are doing the best that anybody could possibly do to search for Kiely. In other words, it's about trying to put it out there that they are the best for the job and that they have all these resources behind them, so they can't possibly fail. No wonder he was so red-faced on the 22nd after Kiely was found.
Before I say anything, really, I guess I'm more apologetic that it's a regurgitation of all the things that we've been saying, we've been doing. We're expanding. We're working pretty hard. Our folks are tired. We've had people searching from all sorts of fashions. We had people swimming in the water today, looking, searching. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've never seen an effort as large as this. I don't have as much time on as Sheriff Wu, but have a good solid 10 years in search and rescue. Multiple day searches, all kinds of things, and I've never seen a case like this, and it is really hard to face the family and not really have good answers for you guys. So we're trying our best. Our people are exhausted, they're tired, but they're showing up every day, putting a smile on their face, and really doing the best they can.
So there you have it again. He is essentially saying this is the biggest search he's ever seen in 10 years of working in the search capacity. So what went wrong here? All these agencies, he's saying that everyone is so tired, which infers that people are flat out with the searching. And you know, we know that right through they kept talking about the manpower, the number of man hours that were going into this search, the number of researchers that were going into this search. And here he is doubling down and saying this is the biggest, most extensive search we've done in 10 years that I know of.
What I am really appreciative of is the community support and the things that everybody's bringing to the table. We created a mapping system from some of our SAR folks. CalTopo is a huge tool that we use, and it's allowing the citizens in the area and people who are coming from way out of the area as well, because I've talked to people in the parking lot that have come from out of state and in different various areas, to be able to provide some of the tracks and things that they're doing within the area, and allows us to create more mapping and show more detail, more information. And that's what we're lacking right now, is more information. And although we can't necessarily direct those sources and provide certain things, it gives us more information and more direction of where to go or where not to go.
Carrying on from what I said in the previous video, that is, if we are to presume that they are actually accessing CalTopo and looking at where people have been searching. And he's basically contradicting himself here, because the rest of the time he's talking about them having absolutely no idea where to look and referring to it as being like searching for a needle in a haystack. So, which is it? Either they're managing to develop their search further because of locals going on the CalTopo, or they're still utterly clueless.
And those are all really important. And so if you haven't been by the family's trailer in the parking lot, we do have a system set up where you can help collect your tracks as well, and we can overlay those with the tracks that we've done, and that's a huge help. I've been on lots of searches where it's not us that finds somebody. Sometimes it's other people that are out in the community that come across something, and they're able to report it to us and help bring the family something, and hopefully something positive. And we are working extremely hard for that.
I just had to point out the irony of him pointing out that sometimes it's not us that finds the missing person.
I know from Sheriff Moon, I've talked to her, she's unable to even speak at the moment due to some laryngitis and things like that, and I told her I'd come up here and talk on her behalf. 100% invested in this, and she wants nothing but the best, and I know if she could come up here and talk, she'd be saying all the same things, probably a little more eloquently than I can.
Now, I have touched on this before, but I am just going to say it seems to me that a lot of the reason for all this grandstanding by Sam Brown is quite possibly because he wants to impress people, because he's doing all this on behalf of the sheriff. So it's that need to look important. Yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of Shannon Moon. I'm important, so I'm going to wow you with everything that we're achieving, and with all this crap, which is basically what it all is, about how much we're doing to find Kiely. And by the way, so far he's not mentioned Kiely at any point in this meeting. In the last two videos, I think we counted once that he mentioned Kiely specifically.
We have support from our district supervisors, our partners and friends, Truckee PD, CHP, everything that you can think of. I've worked with CalOES numerous times, and they're putting no stops to the efforts and energies, as well as our CEO who has offered up resources and things like that to help assist with moving on.
And there we go again, doubling down on, look at everything that we're throwing at this case. We've got so many different agencies backing us up and helping us out and throwing every resource at us. Look at us, aren't we fantastic?
When I was in the parking lot yesterday, and I know I'm going long, so I apologize, I think it was yesterday, somebody came up and said they were nervous to come and talk to us, and they were uncomfortable. And I looked at them, I said, well why? I'm a person, you can come talk to me, and I understand the uniform thing. I have two kids, they're young. I'm a wrestling coach down in Grass Valley. I talk to kids all day long. I hang out with kids. I've had kids call me with problems and troubles and struggles outside of the law enforcement realm. I get that media has been pretty harsh on law enforcement. We feel greatly supported in Nevada County, and I know Placer County feels the same. The only thing I would say is I would encourage kids to come up, engage us, talk to us. You don't even have to talk about what's going on, but maybe that leads into something you might know, something you feel comfortable about. And just, I would encourage you to share and be forthcoming, because we need information. We're getting to the point where I don't know how to move forward without more information.
Now, I know people love to throw the negativity at Sam Brown, and I've done my share of it as well. But it definitely sounds like he is quite active in the youth community. Someone who takes a leadership role for the youth in the community. And he is saying that he can be approached by teens who want to talk about stuff. So I do find that interesting. But also note that once again, he's talking about we don't know where to go. We need more information. After talking about Caltopo and saying how all the information they've got from that has helped them to further develop their search.
And the family's been great. We appreciate you guys, and thank you. Yeah, I'll answer that. The question, just in case, I don't know if it's relating over the other forums, but was whether we're telling people to stay out of an area or anything like that. There have been times throughout the search, like the boat ramp, we asked people to stay out of and we shut it down for a while and things of that nature. We don't have anything that's shut down at this moment. We would do that from time to time if there's something that we're concerned about for evidentiary value.
So I just want to mark this point in the video because we know that in later interviews he claims that they hadn't shut down any areas. So there's that. But the other thing is, I find it interesting that he talks about things that they are concerned of evidentiary value. I find that a really curious way of saying that. To me, that says that perhaps there was something in the area of evidentiary value, or if not, that they definitely had information which suggested that there was something that they should be looking for in the area that was of evidentiary value. It's interesting that he's talking about the boat ramp being shut down at one point in time, because we heard one report where they were talking about someone reported seeing Kiely's car earlier in the day going back and forth from the boat ramp. I don't know how much validity there is in that, but it's possible that that tip was passed on to law enforcement and that is why the boat ramp was shut down. Perhaps they were looking into that in terms of evidence. It's also interesting that that whole area between Boca and Prosser was closed off at one point, and we know that's the area where there was the tank top and there was the windscreen or side window glass that was found on the side of the road, as well as a mobile phone. So are those things significant pieces of evidence? Was there more evidence found that we're not aware of?
What I would caution people on that are civilian citizens and don't have training and don't know necessarily the types of things we're looking for and the types of things that could get damaged by it, I just caution people to be really careful. A footprint could become important. A tire track could become important. So the more foot traffic and things like that, we lose some of that. But at this point, I mean, honestly, we're looking for a car. We're looking for Kiely, potentially a phone. I'm not telling anybody to stay out of any area or anything like that. But I just want people to just be careful and conscious of what they're walking into and seeing.
So after Sammy saying to Tony Dodge, and I believe it was the same day, that there were no tyre tracks found, here we have Sam Brown also referring to tyre tracks and asking people to be careful when they're searching to make sure that they're not accidentally disturbing or destroying any evidence such as tyre tracks. So is this him acknowledging that they haven't found any tyre tracks, or is this him reacting having seen Sammy on the Tony Dodge interview? But it seems pretty clear at this point that there were no tyre tracks anywhere that could have given any indication as to where Kiely and her vehicle actually had gotten to.
So just so we can understand, you have a two-part question. The first part is, what are we doing to search beyond this area, and why have we not yet issued an Amber Alert?
I understand why the Amber Alert hasn't been
Okay,
issued.
I know. I just want to break it down. Okay.
The first part you have the problem.
Sure, okay.
In regards to where do you start searching, when you're in the search world, you have a area that you're going to search based on clues and objectives and ideas of where something is. And in this case, we're really focused on the point last seen because that's the last point that we know. What you're really starting to focus on, and you heard Sergeant Hack talk about the expansion in the amount that goes on, you're starting to get into a thing where you're not really searching like that area. You're now traveling roads and looking for, like, say, the car. And there are tools out there that are looking for the car. Law enforcement has all been notified of the car. Bolos have reached all over the place to be on the lookout for the car. We have people from the UK that are reporting on this case.
So if her car turns up in the UK, people will be able to recognise it. That is more of Sam Brown just trying to sound important, trying to sound like we are doing everything possible, when that's nothing that he has control of. It's just more big noting, basically. But note, he did say there were bolos out for the vehicle, and he does at another point talk about plate readers.
I would say that if not the entire country, the entire world has had some tip on this case. The car is the easier target to locate, obviously, because it's larger, right? We would expect that we'd be able to find the car. Again, where I stood up here and apologized, I wish I could come and say that we found it. When you talk about expansion, and you're going to send people on countless days and hours, but just to search anywhere randomly with no cause, that's just not a responsible thing to do, and it doesn't give us any goals of where we're going. So I will say that there's tools out there, there's pieces in place to try to locate the vehicle, and as well as Kiely, and there's still in the background lots of investigation that's going on with what Lieutenant Barnhart was talking about in the investigative world that hopefully will lead us to some clues and things like that. But
so he specifically says there's tools out there, there's pieces in place to try and find Kiely and her vehicle. And we know that there is a lot of different technology that can be used when searching for a missing person and a vehicle. So here, what he's saying suggests to me that they are pulling out all the stops, and that there are plate readers that are programmed to recognise her licence plate, that there are bolos throughout several states perhaps, and that they do have a number of things in place to try and find her vehicle. Meanwhile, of course, if the vehicle is hidden or the plate's been altered, that's going to make it a little bit harder to actually find it. He also talks about lots of investigation going on in the background, which would infer that they are following up on teens, following up on data from phones, searching for any video footage that may be available in the area.
to honestly just say, hey, where do you search? We are looking at, say, Stampede Lake, Boca Lake, but then where do you stop? Do you look at the bottom of Tahoe? Do you look at wherever? And those aren't things that we can do. I mean, we are just people, just like everybody in this room, and we have the capability of tapping into certain systems and things that give us more resources to do things. But at the same point, if you're thinking about it, we're probably sitting around the table talking about it and how do we do this, and they're exactly things like that.
So once again, he's trying to reassure people that they are throwing every available resource at the case, which is interesting when we know the outcome.
As far as the Amber Alert, as late as today, we're still attempting to push that system through, have that go out. But I'd still even remind people that it is out. Everybody knows. We're trying to put it out as much as possible. I know it's a bone of contention. We don't control the system, but we're trying to justify as much as possible the reasons of why we believe that it should be in the system. And we agree with you guys. There's none of us that are disagreeing with you guys, but we're trying to work within a system that's designed that we don't control. And so we're doing our best to navigate that world.
I'm using a different picture here rather than continuing with a picture from the meeting, because I get the frustration. And the thing is, you hear this frustration with so many cases. And to me, Sam Brown does sound like he is genuinely frustrated by the limitations of the Amber Alert. And for me, it's really, really frustrating. The Amber Alert is broken. Every now and then we hear talk of the so many hundreds or couple of thousand kids that have been saved because the Amber Alert is in place. But how often, on the other hand, do we hear instances where the Amber Alert could not be used because a child did not meet the requirements? Let's look back at where the Amber Alert originally comes from. This beautiful little girl in front of you, Amber Hagerman, was snatched off her bike back in 1996 by some guy. A witness saw it happen. But by the time the police arrived, she was long gone. All that was left in the car park was her bike. This is where the idea of the Amber Alert came from. Because were they able to push out an alert straight after Amber had been snatched, perhaps her life could have been saved. But the thing is, it seems like there are far too many limitations on the Amber Alert. And I think it's time to honour Amber's memory and to do better by today's kids by fixing the Amber Alert because it's broken. That's just my little side rant. But I have to say, it does sound to me like Sam Brown is as frustrated as everybody else by the inadequacies of the Amber Alert. And in terms of the early strategy of suggesting that Kiely was abducted, this is another reason for doing so. We know that when you call it as an abduction, there are far greater resources because you get more agencies involved. But also, if you can claim it as an abduction, you've got a better chance of being able to activate an Amber Alert, which goes nationwide. So, on that side of things, I can see why they may have initially said that it was an abduction, even though they didn't believe that it was. Now, I was going to push on and try and do some more of this particular meeting, analyse more of what he says here, but I've realised that the next bit that he discusses, there's quite a lot there to unpack. So that would turn around and make this video particularly long. So once again, this is a good spot to stop, and I realise that possibly I've spoken too much and made the video too long with just my nattering. So I apologise if I've done so. But I will continue this analysis in the next video, because I do believe that the next point that he makes is something that needs a lot of unpacking, and is something that, in my opinion, is kind of significant when we look at what was going on in the investigation and what may have occurred at the party. So thanks for listening. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, and please leave a comment below. Once again, thank you to all my wonderful subscribers, all the people who support me through memberships and buy me a coffee, all the ways that people support me. I greatly appreciate all those things. Thank you very much. Give a fuck about me, 'cause if you stop to look around, it's my story for me. I can't get back to memories, but the memories tell the stories of the 2 times